This is by far the best parlay strategy right now in sports betting. It's an over 20% ROI type play here, and it's made me over $20,000 this year, $40,000 last year. It was a little bit more of a secret last year. Nowadays, people start to kind of understand what this strategy is. However, I'm going to show you a couple secrets, a couple little things that will continue to make you money over the next few months and into 2025. So without further ado, let's get into what this parlay strategy is. The strategy is called positive correlation. You may have heard of it, but let me give a quick breakdown here. Basically, what we're trying to do is we want to make sure that we're taking parlays where players are correlated together, or, if one player were to do something like go over or under, that would influence the other player to also go over or under. So as an example with NFL, this works in most sports, and so I'll get into it in a sec, but for NFL, passing yards and receiving yards is a big one, right? You could do passing touchdowns and receiving touchdowns is another one. So for instance, Burrow and Chase here, both to go over. Burrow over his passing yards, Jamar Chase over his receiving yards. Basically, what this means is that if Burrow were to go over his passing yards, that would increase the likelihood of Jamar Chase to also go over his receiving yards. This doesn't mean that if Burrow goes over, Jamar Chase always goes over. No, but it simply increases the likelihood for that to happen, right? Same thing with Andy Dalton and Deontay Johnson here, right? Over passing yards, over receiving yards. You want to make sure that they are, going the same direction because they positively influence each other. Now, why is this a profitable strategy? Well, what happens here is when you're positively correlating plays together, what it does is it increases the likelihood of you to win your bet, right? Because again, if Burrow were to go over, there's a higher likelihood that Chase were also to go over. Now, on other sports books like FanDuel, if we were to take a look here, let's use this as an example, right? So Burrow and Chase are both over. Dalton and Johnson are both over. The payout is plus 572, okay? Now, that's when it is positively correlated. Let's change these numbers to go under now. 572 is what it was before. Now it's plus 1871. So what is this telling you? Well, this is saying that if both Deontay Johnson and Jamar Chase were to go over in the same direction, they're both going over, so are their quarterbacks, there's a higher likelihood of winning, and so FanDuel reduces the payout, right? Everyone's going over, FanDuel reduces that payout to plus 572. If we were to go the other way and do negative correlation, FanDuel increases that payout a ton, up to plus 1800 here, because they know that if Burrow were to go over, it's pretty unlikely, or it is more unlikely, that Chase were to go under his receiving yards here, right? And so they increase the payout. So what does that tell us? That means that if plays are positively correlated, sportsbooks should be reducing your payout on those plays because your likelihood of winning increases. If it's negatively correlated, sportsbooks should increase your payout because the likelihood of winning has decreased. Does that make sense? Now, this means that we have an opportunity to find these types of bets on other platforms that do not decrease the payout when they are positively correlated. So let's switch this back to being a positively correlated play, plus 572 on FanDuel. Let's look at what it is priced on PrizePicks. It is an 8x. That means it's plus 700. So PrizePicks gives you plus 700 on this play, whereas FanDuel gives you plus 572. So you're getting quite a bit more value on PrizePicks. Does that mean that it's a 20% ROI or a super mathematically profitable play? No. PrizePicks used to offer plus 900 on these plays. They used to give a 10x on these types of plays last year. Since then, they've realized that they can't do that. They need to reduce their payouts. However, there are ways to get around this by using other sportsbooks, other apps, other DFS apps, or playing around with it and finding bets where it might be a little bit hidden. You might not quite recognize that this is very positively correlated until you see it. So let me give you an example of that. This is a platform called Parlay, very similar to PrizePicks and Underdog. It's one of those DFS or pick'em apps, basically, where you can go over or under on player props here, very similar to PrizePicks. However, they do a great job at not reducing your payout on positively correlated plays. As an example, let's look at passing touchdowns and receiving touchdowns. We've got Joe Burrow over passing touchdowns and Jamar Chase over receiving touchdowns, right? If Jamar Chase were to, catch a touchdown in this game, that means that Burrow has already thrown one, and so he just needs one more. So his likelihood of going over increases. Same thing down here. Andy Dalton, 1.5, and Deontay Johnson to get a touchdown. Now, what this gives us is basically 14x. So we're going to say, plus 1,300 here on Parlay Play, whereas on FanDuel, who takes into account this correlation, is giving us basically plus 750, let's say plus 800. So we're getting plus 800 on FanDuel as opposed to plus 1,300 on Parlay Play. This gives us a massive boost to our payouts. If we were to run, these types of builds on Parlay Play consistently, mixing and matching, using different stacks that are very correlated together, and it's not just these types of plays, you can pretty much guarantee that you're going to be making a great profit over time. You're going to have a very, 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 very successful few weeks betting on NFL if you were to continue using these positively correlated strategies. It's not just Parlay Play, and it's not just these passing touchdowns, receiving touchdowns. You can do the same thing with passing yards, receiving yards. Also, make sure that you're utilizing these discounted plays here too, right? So for instance, this is a free square on CJ Stroud. If we were to just add this in, this gives us now basically a 25x payout on Parlay Play, whereas on FanDuel, we're getting a plus 750 payout. So clearly a very, very EV way, expected value, very, very profitable way to be betting on sports, utilizing positive correlation and finding platforms that do not reduce your payouts when your likelihood of winning increases. So that's basically this strategy. It's made me a ton of money, have a great ROI using it, and I highly recommend that you guys check it out. I post all of these plays, every play that I make for the weekend and throughout the week for NFL, college football, whatever it may be. Everything is posted in my VIP Discord. We have over 1,000 members, tons of success in there, and I post everything, notifies you to your phone. You can just click a link and tail these bets. And this is the easiest way for you guys to have a side hustle that actually produces solid returns when betting on sports. So hopefully you guys check it out, or at least learn something today, and we'll see you guys in the next video.